Hey, David.
Hey, Kevin.
You know what I really like in a webcomic?
Nudity.
Yes, but you know what else I like about webcomics?
Evil.
Yes, I love comics about evil people, especially when it's a bunch of the baddest of the bad competing to see who's the most evil one in the universe.
Ooh, that sounds like a lot of fun. What comic is this?
That would be Villainverse, the most fast-paced, mass-destructing space opera ever created. All of the worst villains in the entire universe compete to see who's the baddest of the bad. Meanwhile, the number one most evilest villain plans the worst scheme this universe has ever seen. And you know what else?
What else?
It's free to read.
That's the perfect price.
I know, isn't it though? You can find it at villainverse.carrd.co. That's villainverse.card with 2 R's.co. And it's available to read on various platforms like Tumblr, Metabang, and there is actually a Discord for it. How awesome is that?
That is super cool.
Yeah! So go check it out. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Supernatural Selection. I'm your host, Kevin the Bastard. With me this week are Mike the Skeptic. Mike, how you doing?
Good, I guess.
Shit, okay, close enough. And Mr. David Davis. David, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. Spent the day grading, and boy, is my brain tired.
Oh, I bet. Well, I have just been assaulting myself with Star Trek Picard, which is fucking terrible.
Oh, no.
Yep. Nope. Sucks. Sucks big old donkey balls.
Oh, hee-haw.
Hee-haw. So...
No, it'd be more like hee-haw.
Oh, hee-haw. So, we have got a new topic this week, and David, you're in the driver's seat, so why don't you tell us about it?
Yes, today we are going to be talking about Dancing Mania, a.k.a. Boogie Fever.
Also known as Rockin' Pneumonia, Boogie Woogie Flu, and Michael Jackson's disease.
So yeah, today I kind of want to talk about some historical outbreaks of what we have come to call Dancing Mania. There are a bunch of other terms which we'll go through, but I'm very proud of myself because I was able to get this episode written out in under 20 pages. So.
I'm excited about that.
Because... I don't know. I tend to have a tendency to over-research on things.
That's okay. Mike, what do you know about Dancing Mania?
Isn't that what the terminal disease the Bee Gees had?
It was actually Saturday Night Fever.
I thought that was just disco fever.
That too.
Well, you see, disco fever is a variation on Saturday Night Fever.
Okay.
But are they all substrains of Dancing Mania?
Totally could be. We'll talk a little bit about that. But basically, I think that kind of previews our approach to the topic for the night. Lot of really bad jokes.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
Wait, that's just tonight? So what were all the other episodes?
Practice.
A gas leak.
A gas leak. Look, just because I had Taco Bell before we did some of these shows, that doesn't mean... Oh, never mind.
Yeah, so I'm very excited. This is a topic that I've been wanting to do since Kevin started having me on regularly. And I did my research on this. I pulled up, I work for a college, so I have access to academic databases, which is always wonderful.
Oh, you lucky duck.
Yeah, so, and then, you can always ask me to find stuff for you.
That's true.
Yeah, because I have no problems downloading a PDF and redistributing it from a academic database, even though you're not supposed to. I do it anyway. So yeah, I've got 3 primary sources this week. So the first one is The Dancing Plague, a Public Health Conundrum, published in 1997 in the journal Public Health.
I gotta give a lot of respect to anything that actually uses conundrum in the title.
Yeah, especially spelling it right, because I usually end up putting like two U's in one spot on that word.
Oh yeah, no, and I know how to spell conundrum. I just don't know how to stop spelling it.
Like, I can't stop
Conundrum.
typing it.
Yeah.
So we have the second article, which is Divine Punishment or Disease, Medieval and Early Modern Approaches to the 1518 Strasbourg Dancing Plague, published in 2017 in the Journal of the Society for Dance Research, which I found super interesting.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, that's the beauty of these academic databases, man. They're lit.
Wait, is it lit with lit?
Yeah, getting lit with lit. Well, and I also have a sciences paper here, because this one is the usage of ergot, claviceps purpurea, featured something in obstetrics and gynecology, a historical perspective, published in the journal Toxins in 2021. Gynecological. I keep saying gynecological. I'm an idiot. It's gynecological. Article in a journal about toxins. So, that's cool. I love these like specialty journals.
Yeah.
The Toxin is definitely a very specialist journal.
Definitely. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, like.
See, I've heard the culture of the editors is actually a little problematic.
The culture. Oh, God.
I also have a number of secondary sources, and I'll kind of call those out as I use them. So, like, I did my research on this one. I'm pretty happy with the results. So, I say we just kind of dive into it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we got a lot of those jokes out of the way, but like, I want to know, what do you guys know about Dancing Mania?
A lot of people always say it was like, what's it called, mass hysteria, but I mean, it's like large groups of people dancing uncontrollably until they either passed out or died, right?
Yeah, and was this something that was widespread, or was it kind of like a very isolated thing, you think?
Well, here's the thing. I never really heard about it being really widespread. Did you, Mike? I mean,
I
knew about the Strasbourg thing.
I really don't know much about the subject other than it was a thing that was reported at some point. Couldn't even tell you when.
So, yeah, what we're going to find is actually this has been a thing that had gone on for a period of, I'd say maybe 300-400 years.
Holy crap.
And yeah, so there's been multiple outbreaks of boogie fever here. So Dancing Mania is derived from the term choreomania, which not only sounds like a community college dance recital, but it's derived from the Greek terms choros, meaning dance, and mania being obvious. You know what I mean. Like mania,
Right,
like if you hear mania, you know what that is.
Yeah.
Other terms that you might have heard for the dancing plague, or for Dancing Mania, is the dancing plague, which was coined by Swiss philosopher Paracelsus. No, Paracelsus. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna butcher a lot of the names in here. So, there's a Swiss philosopher named Paracelsus who came up with the dancing plague. You also have Saint John's dance, Tarantism, Saint Vitus's dance. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, again, boogie fever, because I can't get over that joke. I love it.
And that, of course, like Mike said, came back in the 70s, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Now, one thing, I saw you had Tarantism in here, and I didn't understand that until I looked through the outline, and this is going to blow everybody's mind.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some fun reveals, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of overview these outbreaks, and then we're going to talk about like the different causes, and we're going to have some theories about that. So, Mike, I want you to really think about what you think happened here, okay?
Okay.
Because it's gonna be on you, buddy. You gotta solve this for us.
Yeah, man.
I'm on the case.
He's on the case.
All right, so get to stepping. All right. So, starting into the 17th century, what was known at that time as Saint Vitus's dance would be diagnosed as Sydenham chorea, and later epidemic chorea. Chorea is a disease of the nervous system. Have you ever heard of that disease before?
I have not. Have you, Mike?
No.
All right, so from movementdisorders.org.
That's a hell of a URL.
Right? Chorea is an abnormal involuntary movement derived from the Greek word dance. It is characterized by brief, abrupt, irregular, unpredictable, non-stereotyped movements. In milder cases, chorea may appear purposeful. The patient often appears fidgety and clumsy. Overall, chorea can affect various body parts and interfere with speech, swallowing, posture, and gait, and disappears in sleep.
Yeah, you gotta watch yourself talking there. You can't say it's Korea.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Now,
So it's
you say it disappears in sleep. Like if you pass out and go to sleep, it just stops.
Yeah, it's some sort of central. I don't know if necessarily central nervous system, but like it's some sort of nervous system disorder that like when your brain shuts down to sleep or whatever it is, it seems to stop. Now,
Interesting.
Now they're saying that these examples are the cases we're going to talk about are examples of this. However, those cases don't necessarily line up with this definition either.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's just basically like I think another example of this, maybe not of the same but related, is like the idea of having the Jimmy legs.
I'm sorry, the what?
You haven't heard of the Jimmy legs before,
Mike? Did
No.
you ever? Okay, good. We're both in the dark here. Please explain the Jimmy legs.
Okay, well, have you ever seen advertisements for those TV advertisements for medicine that help with restless leg syndrome?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
RLS.
Yeah, my family called them the Jimmy legs, and I'm not sure if there's something racist involved with that, but
Knowing old people, yes.
Oh,
Yes.
no,
man. Okay.
I'm
We
wondering
actually
if there's
have a friend with RSL or RLS.
Yeah, so it's something like I don't know if I have it, but I tend to get very fidgety in bed, like my feet kind of move around and stuff like that, and I think it's kind of. I'm not a scientist here, but I think that like there's kind of a relation between that and what we're talking about with like epidemic chorea.
Right.
So, the thing is, this definition is too tidy for us. We like to complicate things. So there are some other theories that I'm going to get into, but before that, let's talk about some of the cases and outbreaks.
Oh, thank God! I thought we were going to start learning something normal here.
Yeah, and like as I said, there's multiple cases of this. Like I'm not going to say everybody has heard of Strasbourg, but like if you talk about this thing,
If you
the name that
know
most people are gonna
about
remember.
this, this is the one you know about.
Exactly.
Right.
So, for my first source, I'm pulling from The Dancing Plague, a public health conundrum. I have this quote. Thus, the essential features of the disorder were that it could occur sporadically or in epidemics. It was a psychophysical disease distinguishable from modern chorea, and from organic nervous diseases. It was always characterized by an uncomfortable impulse to dance and a morbid love of music. Physical contact with an affected person was not a prerequisite for contracting the disease. The sight or sound of someone already affected could be sufficient. In its epidemic form, an attack was generally preceded by premonitory nervous symptoms, and the disease was commonly manifest by physical symptoms, including death. So, a couple things that I want to point out here. First of all, the definition of this from this article sounds different than what I had previously talked about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially with like even like they describe it specifically as dancing and then associating it with music.
Uh-huh.
And then the idea that it could be spread not just through like physical contact, but like actually like seeing someone already affected by it.
Jesus.
And then like specifically mentioning that there's the physical symptoms including death. So what we learn here is that it seems like it's the literal dancing curse from the movie Hocus Pocus.
God damn it, I knew Sarah Jessica Parker would have a body count from this. Jesus.
Dance until you die. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Right?
That's bizarre. This does kind of fit in with a theory I've got about this, but I'll get into that later.
Well, it also it draws parallels to like those red iron shoes as a way of torturing people. It's just like the psychosomatic physical version of that. Where they used to like put people in these iron shoes and then heat them up, and people would dance themselves to death.
Would that be the Red Iron Shoe Diaries?
That would have been a much different show.
I hung and shook my head at that one.
I thought you would. Thank you.
And David Duchovny would probably have had to go into sex therapy for something a lot more extreme after that one.
Oh, yeah.
So did anyone else ever see a little bit of Red Shoe Diaries?
I did one time at your house on
very
Cinemax.
uncomfortable.
It is.
I did after the X-Files, not to get off on a tangent or anything, but thinking of David Duchovny in any sexual way was very uncomfortable.
No, I totally agree.
It's like
no, he was a very attractive man.
Yeah,
so.
but it's like,
it's like your older brother.
Yeah, something about him made me uncomfortable with him in, sex.
We're gonna have audience. We're gonna have listeners Google like David Duchovny's stepbrother porn.
Yeah. Oh God.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, imagine you're watching a softcore porno, and suddenly I'm there. It's that. It's that. Yeah. See, that's what it's like.
But I just imagined you like, it's kind of like this pan away from the action, and there's Kevin's face just kind of there.
In the window.
No, in the room, like sitting in a recliner.
Wait, are you saying I'm like a softcore I'm a softcore porno cuck?
Yes.
Okay.
And you're just standing there, not standing, but sitting there, like, not quite doing what's his name? I lost his name now. The guy who's in The Shining, the actor.
Jack Nicholson?
Jack Nicholson doing the Jack Nicholson nod. Not quite that, but similar. That nod.
God.
I was thinking Bob from Twin Peaks.
Can I dress like a mantis?
If you want, if that's what,
No, but if I'm going to be a cuck, I'm going to be a mantis cuck.
Okay. Well, you be the best little mantis cuck you can.
Okay, so
that happened.
Tangent over.
It was a very rewarding one. Thank you.
It really was.
All right, so let's talk about some of these cases and outbreaks, shall we?
Let's.
All right.
So, outbreaks of dancing mania would span from the 7th century until about the 17th century, often on the back of the spread of Christianity. And there's a correlation to that I'm going to talk about in a bit.
That's a long goddamn time.
Right? Yeah, it's one of those things where because I had known about Strasbourg, and I had known that there were like a couple other outbreaks, but to see in the records going back, to the 7th century was just very interesting to me.
Jesus.
So there are, of course, records back to the 7th century, but one of the first major outbreaks was in Bernburg in 1020 or so. So this would be what, the 11th century?
Yeah, that would be the 11th century.
Yeah. So, as this is an early case and documentation was rare, especially at that time, we were still kind of like collectively throwing our waste out our windows into the streets in Europe. I can only find some details on it. All right. So this is what I have. During a Christmas Eve service, 18 peasants would begin singing and dancing around the church, disturbing the service inside. Now, that doesn't seem super unusual to me because this kind of just sounds like the end of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So like this idea of like the besieged poor joining together in a song outside of a service where they were likely not to have been invited to see from like within the church just seems like them making the best of their situation.
Okay.
But apparently it was notable enough that there were enough poor people there disturbing the people inside that they wrote this shit down.
Yeah.
And I also think it kind of represents kind of a Christ mania, which we're going to talk about later.
Sure, but there's two things about this. Number one, it kind of sounds like that old tradition of beggars showing up and singing until you throw money at them. And secondly, this sounds a lot like Holy Ghosting.
Now, what exactly is holy ghosting?
Well, holy ghosting is a thing that's popular in a lot of churches these days and some denominations and communities, where basically during a sermon, like a particularly heated sermon, everybody starts shaking and dancing and screaming in tongues and rolling around. It's kind of like holy rollers.
That's when you got the spirit.
Yeah, you get the... they call it holy ghosting, and there's a great bit about it that Hannibal Buress does in his stand-up. So
Now see, yeah, because I'm familiar with that. I just wasn't aware that like the term was holy ghosting.
Yeah,
I always thought it was like
the
speaking in tongues.
Yeah, well, it's you're filled with the power of Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit, and you just go fucking crazy.
Supposedly, that's where Elvis Presley got some of his moves. So,
definitely,
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go see that Baz Luhrmann Elvis Presley movie because
yeah, I gotta watch him
ridiculous.
steal from black people. I gotta see how they handle that.
You know, it's cute that he's wearing a little Captain Marvel lightning bolt.
That was
I like
funny,
it.
actually.
Yeah. So yeah, that's like one of the first major cases that we have. Again, nothing too crazy. Something about it struck them enough to record it, but I think it's just like the poor making the best of a shitty situation because, you know, at this time, things were not going great for the poor.
Yeah. Well,
you know.
Also, now that you come to say it like that, they thought enough of it to write it down. We do have to remember that the rich people were the ones that knew how to write.
Yeah. But, you know, this is one of our first examples of, like, the idea, like, these people may be possessed
a mass
or something like that.
Group of them, yeah.
Yeah, like 18 people, considering, like, the village probably only has, like, maybe 25 people because everybody's dying off. That's not
six
an
people in the
number.
church, 18 people out there dancing and going crazy. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to fast forward here a little bit. There are a bunch of other cases, and there are two specifically large ones I want to talk about, but I'm just going to kind of go through some of the smaller ones. So one case recorded in history is an outbreak in 1237. During this outbreak, a group of children traveled from Erfurt to Arnstadt, about the distance of 12 miles, supposedly jumping and dancing all the way. So, naturally, if you're thinking of the Pied Piper of Hamelin, you're not alone. This is around the time that particular folktale is said to have come into existence.
Interesting.
Meanwhile, I'm traumatized by the fear of a roving gang of children on the road serving people old school.
I'm going to be honest, I'm just terrified of groups of children.
It's got to be bizarre, dude. Like, just I don't even know how big the group was, but if you're saying a sizable group of children, that's unsettling. And just them kind of like walking along the road, la 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 la, probably
God.
like in the dark and shit.
They're like satanic Smurfs.
Oh, God.
Right?
You know what's bad is the first thing pops into my head. Oh, wait a minute. What if that's what happened in the McDonald's scene in Mac and Me? It was just dancing plague.
It could be, you know, we'll have to explore that. I'm going to put that one on the...
We need to get
board.
Paul Rudd on here and ask him.
So yeah, it's just it's a very kind of weird, again, like all these like apparently unsupervised children walking 12 miles, dancing, skipping, and singing. Like I find that kind of off-putting.
That is very off-putting, and someone running out, I didn't tell you to stop working for a living.
Exactly, because yeah, don't they have jobs at this point?
Yeah, no, it's like, you damn cobbler, get back to work.
So another case was recorded in 1278, which was, you know, in the same century as the previous case. It involved over 200 people dancing on a bridge over the River Meuse, resulting in its collapse. So you have like 200 people dancing on this bridge, and then the bridge just collapsed.
Jesus. It's
So
was a Mothman there?
I have no idea. It's like why are 200 people dancing on a bridge to begin with?
I don't know.
How do you get 200 people in one spot in the year 1278?
And so do they have like troubadours with them? I mean, I'm assuming they have to have.
There's no evidence of that. It's just it seems to be
they're dancing with no music,
or they're hearing the music in their head, or
but externally, if you just walk by them,
it's just a bunch of, it's like 200 fucking nutcases on a bridge that collapses.
It's just like a silent disco where everybody's wearing headphones and
gonna
you just hear
say,
the
I've
awkward
seen-
like shuffling.
I've
Oh,
seen video
God.
of that, and that's just really creepy looking.
It is.
Yeah, now imagine 200 people doing this on a bridge and then the bridge collapses and they all die.
What if they all have the same song in their head?
Right? One of
See?
them's doing 3/4 time.
Yeah.
It's just the one guy throwing everybody off.
Oh, God.
Well, it was funny because I was talking to my mom about this today because I sometimes talk to my mother. I'm a good son. And I was telling her about the topic, and I'm like, yeah, imagine a lot of these circumstances is like a conga line going from like Germany to Norway.
Holy shit.
It's bizarre. These are really weird cases.
That you're
course.
not wrong.
Yeah. So, further outbreaks were recorded between 1373 and 1374 as well across England, Germany, and the Netherlands.
I'm just
So-
I'm just picturing Brits dancing into the ocean and drowning
Right?
Why is
It's
there a
just-
smile on your face?
because I'm imagining Brits dancing into the ocean and no, I'm kidding.
But it's interesting that, like, apparently several outbreaks were recorded in the span of a year.
It's a pretty big deal, man.
Yeah, and these are just some of the examples, like, because there's multiple examples, none of them as dramatic as these.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna get to the two big ones now.
Oh yeah, the two big ones.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So, speaking of 1374, the first big outbreak of dancing mania that I would like to discuss is the outbreak on June 24th, 1374 in Aachen.
Is it
and this
Aachen or Aiken?
After all that dancing, I'm sure their feet are aching.
That's what I was about to say. Hey,
Yep.
same
Beat
wavelength.
you to it. Don't you step on my lines ever again.
I'm sorry, sir.
Okay. So, and this is, 1374. So apparently there were cases leading up to this event. Mm-hmm. What I've gathered. So this outbreak would eventually spread through Germany, Austria, Belgium, France, and the Netherlands. Now, this outbreak is notable for being called specifically St. John's Dance. So I'm going to turn to a blog post from Europenia, which is a European history blog. Quote, in 1374, on the streets of Aachen, Germany, people started dancing involuntarily. They moved frantically until near the point of total exhaustion. Within weeks, the strange compulsion spread to the Netherlands and the northeast of France. Hundreds of people uncontrollably jumped, leapt, and twitched for days. This just sounds very bizarre, doesn't it?
I'd be in a... Okay, imagine you're in a town.
Mm-hmm.
And the plague's headed that way. How terrified are you?
Right, and it's just, you hear the rhythm of their feet as they're approaching, and, the rhythm's really going to get you.
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah, and then imagine when the commissar comes to town.
Oh, don't turn around.
It's just, it's a very, like, I'm trying to imagine this. Like, I'm trying to put myself into this situation. All right, 1374 in some bumfuck middle of nowhere German town in the middle of a forest. Mm-hmm. And a bunch of dancing people are coming to town. I'm trying to imagine that. And it's so weird to visualize that. Especially because there's no evidence that there was, like, music, right?
Yeah.
No evidence of, like, a troubadour, nobody playing a horn, no one playing a drum.
There's no dulcimers. And then you're like out there, you're tending your garden.
Here's
you're
another
What's that?
scary thought.
Uh-huh.
I'm assuming all these people are white, so it's very terrible dancing too.
Oh,
Exactly.
That's a good point.
They have no rhythm to dance to.
And they don't have rhythm to begin with.
Yes.
But
Man.
imagine you're out there tending your garden, your neighbor comes up, the dancers are coming to town. Oh, well, that sounds fun. No, it's not.
It's like the funkiest zombie plague ever.
Oh my God, I know.
That's what
It's
Thriller
like
was about.
Ooh. Again, Michael Jackson's disease.
So, yeah, I want to kind of return to that website again, Europenia.
Yeah.
So with another quote, It seems improbable, but dozens of medieval sources from different towns mention the incident from 1374, and there are even municipal orders describing the mania in Strasbourg. Chroniclers agree that the people were dancing and not only shaking, but they were obviously suffering from physical pain too, as well as having horrible visions and sometimes asking for help and praying. Often they barely ate or slept, and sometimes they're not even conscious of what was happening to them.
Oh my God, that's even... Imagine you're not even having a good time.
Right. It's like going to a middle school prom, but you don't have anyone to go with.
Well, I mean, imagine, they're dancing. It's like, well, at least it's fun to watch. And one was just, kill me!
It's like, you make me feel like dancing. Please stop.
Oh, God.
So it's bizarre, like we have all these chronicles of people writing these things down, but like specifically mentioning that these people are in pain. They're probably bleeding at their feet.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just
They're probably
walking
horribly
around.
infected.
Imagine, like, walking around Disney World for a week, but in like a day.
Right. And, it just also mentioning the horrible visions and asking for help and praying. So that's kind of like leading me to that religious mania angle. But we'll talk about that. But
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about this, Mike? Are you into it?
I mean, I depends on what you mean into it. I'm like, I would not be dancing endlessly.
Okay, so here's the question. Would you wish it upon your worst enemy?
I know who my worst enemy is, and yes.
Ooh, it's got dark.
I don't know. I'm more of a poetic justice kind of thing. No one is, if someone, served me, sure. But,
So what you're saying is if somebody came up and you got served, you would wish this on them.
well, if it was a bad enough serve, yes.
Okay.
Imagine a wizard getting so pissed off because someone served him, so he curses an entire town.
Holy
But-
shit. Oh my God, this sounds like the next movie from A24. Jesus.
Oh, I'm just imagining fucking Gandalf the Grey, just like, how dare you?
Fool of a took, you will never stop dancing.
Fly, you fools.
Electric slide, you fools.
No, because my worst enemy, the only curse I wish upon him is he's like stranded somewhere for like a couple of weeks, and the only thing he has to eat is like a giant jar of mayonnaise.
I know who your worst enemy is now.
Yep, because he hates mayonnaise.
I know.
You're listening to
Exactly.
this mayonnaise. If you listen to this and really hate mayonnaise, you may be my enemy. But
Oh, boy. So, all of this sounds like funny and absurd, but it also sounds incredibly horrific.
yeah,
It's straight up horror.
like when you hear, just uncontrollable dancing, it's like, oh, how bad could that be? Then you
Pretty
start actually thinking about it. It's like, oh, you're not like going to the bathroom or eating.
Oh, you're going to the bathroom.
well, you're not.
And you're
not
doing
going
your
to the
two-step, you're flinging
restroom.
that shit everywhere.
You're not removing your clothes and going to the bathroom.
God,
You
it looks
are
like the
soiling
fucking-
yourself.
It would look like the it would look like the rave in Zion from Matrix Reloaded.
Oh,
except everyone's shitting like rhinos.
It's like you wake up one morning and finally find yourself possessed by the ghost of Elvis and he won't fucking leave.
Well, no, because then you just be like doing a lot of drugs and eating peanut butter and banana sandwiches.
Accidentally
honestly,
taking
that would be
M&Ms.
delicious.
Yeah, that
I think
really
I would like to, if I'm gonna die, let Elvis possess my corpse so he can just go on one more peanut butter and banana drug binge.
Yeah, no, it's like, David, what are you doing? Hey, man, just leave me alone. I'm having one last fling. Oh,
I won't be able to make the episode this Thursday. Sorry.
fling it very much.
So, yeah, obviously this is pretty horrific, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull up another quote here.
Oh, please do.
So to put this into perspective, I have Justice Friedrich Karl Hecker, who described the St. John's dance in his 1888 book, The Black Death and the Dancing Mania. So one thing we should note here is that a lot of this is occurring as the Black Death is happening.
Oh my God.
So you've got the horrible, painful, bloody, gross plague, and then you have the horribly painful dancing plague.
Oh God.
So here's my quote. Quote, they formed circles hand in hand, and appearing to have lost all control over their senses, continued dancing regardless of the bystanders for hours together in wild delirium, until at length they fell to the ground in a state of exhaustion. Then they complained of extreme oppression and groaned as if in the agonies of death, until they were swathed in clothes bound tightly upon their waists, upon which they again recovered and remained free from complaint until the next attack.
Jesus.
So the thing that sticks out to me there is they were swathed in clothes, bound tightly around their waist. Now, I couldn't find any information about this, but the only association that I can draw deals with like ancient. Well, okay, maybe ancient's the wrong word, but like medieval stories of like werewolfism, lycanthropy, where often like there was an association with a belt or a girdle.
Right. The wolf girdle thing.
But the wolf girdle thing is supposed to turn you into a lycanthrope. So I'm
great.
not sure.
So the cure was werewolfism.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what the situation is with the clothes bound tightly
around their waist. See, I was thinking maybe it was like a crude form of like a straitjacket.
Maybe but again, like the details aren't super clear as to like what this looks like. Like, are they binding their legs together? Like, are they taking like cloth and just wrapping up the legs up to the waist and the hands?
Or
like,
is it like they're tying it around their waist and tightening it till they pass out like it's a corset?
Yeah, so I'm not sure what the significance is here, but the only parallel I could draw is like the werewolf girdle.
Yeah. That's
so it's which
okay,
is a weird,
I heard that snicker, Mike.
Well, just the term werewolf girdle. it has many conjuring of
keeps that werewolf sweater puppies in check.
Oh.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So the other thing is, like, as to the exact number of people involved, it's harder to pin down. Now, an article from Mental Floss suggests that this occurred over dozens of villages and, more importantly, involved hundreds of villagers.
That's pretty crazy.
The idea is that, like, maybe not every villager is following along. Maybe some of them pass out before then, but, like, it seems like people are getting picked up into this fucked up supernatural conga line.
God damn it.
So, the thing is, like, alarmingly, this mania vanishes nearly as quickly as it occurs. And as for the length of time, sources indicate that this occurred over a matter of days. This specific outbreak in Aachen.
Wow.
Right. It's a very bizarre thing to think about. Now, it seems that if we were to treat this as an actual outbreak, it would subside for a time and then flare up again over a few years, such as in the cases of 1375, 1376, and 1381. And there are multiple outbreaks elsewhere as we move into our next one. Now, the most recorded outbreak of this dancing mania ever surrounds the 1518 outbreak in Strasbourg. So, right. I've mostly cobbled this together from a number of papers I found in an academic database. So this is kind of like me kind of doing a survey of this, because there's a bunch of different sources and they sometimes contradict each other on it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, that's always a good sign.
Yeah, it gets a little complicated. Or what was that? What was that slogan we developed?
It's about.
It was something.
This is
like
where
that.
it gets complicated.
Yeah, something like that. So,
everybody take a drink.
So this outbreak is largely known as the Dancing Plague of 1518. I will begin with the article Divine Punishment or Disease, Medieval and Early Modern Approach to the 1518 Strasbourg Dancing Plague. Quote, on the 14th of July, 1518, a solitary woman began to dance in the streets of Strasbourg. By mid-August, hundreds of people were dancing uncontrollably in the streets. Eventually, dancers began to die, unable to stop dancing. As many as 15 people a day simply dropped dead, and yet the dance continued on. A poem taken from contemporary chronicles indicates the scope and horror of the plague, and I'm going to quote that poem.
Okay.
Many hundreds in Strasbourg began to dance and hop, women and men, in the public market, in alleys and streets, day and night, and many of them ate nothing. Until at last the sickness left them. This affliction was called St. Vitus's dance.
Not a very good poem.
No, it's not. But
of course, it's also translated. I'm sure in the original, German, it's beautiful.
Right. So we get like the previous cases I talked about didn't talk so much about people dying. Like there's indications that people died, but this is the one where we get that idea of the dance until you die thing.
Right.
We would call it the codifier of the trope. So, okay. But like the numbers here are just astounding to me. Up to 15 people a day for like 2 months.
Jesus.
So the important thing that I want to draw from this poem that I had just read, though, is that there is an equal weight given to this being the result of a disease, as well as being some form of divine event.
Like maybe God inflicted a disease.
Yeah, because they talk about until at last the sickness left them. So then there's an illness, obviously, being noted there. But then the name, the St. Vitus's dance, brings in the divine element into this. So, History Magazine... Oh, yes.
Oh, I was just going to say, St. Vitus's dance really sounds like a foot powder.
It kind of does.
It does. For your cones, Grandma used to use St. Vitus's dance.
You just put in your shoe and you two-step, and it goes away.
It's a 80s pop rock song.
Like St. Elmo's Fire.
Yeah. St. Vitus's dance.
Gonna be a man in motion. I can't stop dancing here.
That worked way too well.
I know. Thank you.
So, History Magazine, in their February-March issue in 2018, puts the total number of people afflicted at about 400 by mid-August of that year of the outbreak.
Wow.
The article also points out, however, that the case was an example of contemporary theory leaning more towards the physical than the supernatural like other periods. Previous instances and outbreaks were more considered religiously affiliated.
Right.
This one was the one where they're kind of looking at it a little bit more
scientifically.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. So, of course, you still have those people who believed in the divine angle, but this was also like an interesting pre-Enlightenment case. For example, do we remember the four humors from our Nostradamus episodes?
Yeah, those like puns, irony, sarcasm, and Chris Rock jokes.
No. It's nut shots, puking, dang it, I can't think of anything.
More nut shots.
Yeah.
More puking.
Shooting bottle rockets out of your ass.
Basically.
And Steve-O. Sorry, I watched Jackass Forever recently.
I watched Jackass Forever too, and that was amazing.
Oh my god!
I laughed so hard I almost threw up.
Dude, it's so good.
I missed it. I'm gonna watch it, but I missed it.
It's so worth it, man. It took me back to my childhood.
I'll watch it again with you.
Oh, I bet you will.
Oh, so good.
But no, like blood, bile.
Yeah, the idea was that you would have these
blood,
fluids
bile,
that would run
spit,
hot and cold.
Pee, I guess. I don't know.
Right. So you had hot blood. You had cold. You had like cold mucus.
Oh,
you
right,
had
right.
black bile, which was like the hot bile, and then you had like cold yellow bile, that sort of thing. So a lot of contemporaries at the time theorized that the mania was the result of hot blood, making it what we would call a sanguinary condition.
Okay, hot-blooded. Did they check it and see?
Did they have a fever of 100 degrees? But Kevin,
yes,
you know it keeps the hot bile hot and the cold bile cold.
How do it know? I'm sorry. I'm so glad I got to do that.
That's a reference to the McDonald's
McDLT.
Yes.
Yeah, it keeps the hot side hot and the cold side cold.
If you were old enough to remember that.
Oh, I visit nostalgia sites.
Well, here's the thing. David might not be as old as us, but as far as pop culture goes, he is wizened.
Look, it made my day when I went to the Smithsonian and they had a McDLT package in there. I mean, it was like in the Americana section, there was like all this other stuff. But what I took a picture of was the McDLT carton.
At the fucking Smithsonian.
Yes. Right outside of that part was a Batmobile from Tim Burton, but that's what I...
yeah, Batmobile? Nope.
Well, I took
give
a
me
picture
that
of that too,
McDLT. Oh, my God.
Mac tonight. Bring back Mac tonight.
You know, that was Doug Jones as Mac tonight.
As you said, I am wizened in the ways of pop culture.
Yes.
So. Actually, they can't bring back Mac tonight because it's affiliated with like Nazis and stuff now.
Yeah,
thanks,
unfortunately. Yeah, fuckers.
God damn it. Well,
I hope they get the dancing plague.
We can't keep giving up things to the Nazis because they're eventually will have nothing left.
Yeah, but it's real hard to take something back from the Nazis.
But
look at the swastika. Look at the Hitler mustache.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's you. Once you let them have it, then yes, it's hard to take it back. You just don't let them have it in the first place.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm glad that we're drawing the line at Mac tonight.
Yes, of course. I mean, you have to draw it.
You can take our Nordic runes, but you cannot have our singing moon man.
The line must be drawn here.
This far, no further.
Damn it, I was going
Sorry.
You know, I'm thinking like in the future, like 100 years from now, maybe 1,000 years from now, like the Moon Man is going to become some sort of like they're going to think about that and go, they must have worshipped this thing.
Probably.
Well, I just hate when they find the elf dolls.
No, what they'll think we worshipped was Ronald McDonald.
Oh,
that's true.
That's
because he's fucking everywhere.
Well, Ronald McDonald will be our god, and Mac tonight will be our devil.
He's the prophet of the Lord McDonald.
It's going to be like a sun and moon cult.
Are you saying he was the John the Baptist to the Jesus Ronald McDonald?
Pretty much.
Holy God.
Yes, exactly.
No
hamburger god.
Oh, God. Let's move on. I'm frightened.
The quarter pounder is communion.
This is the body of Ronald.
Drink this Coke. It is my blood.
Oh, it would be the good blood because the McDonald's Coke is the best Coke.
Not
don't
around
drink
here.
Don't drink the McDonald's Sprite though. That shit will burn your throat out.
Oh yeah, no, you're fucked.
Okay, let's get back into this.
Second tangent. Over.
Yes.
That would have like added like 2 pages to this outline. So, granted, we are dealing with the idea of a plague that makes people dance to their death. So the veracity of some of these claims can be hard to swallow. This is especially because of the fact that there seem to be no records of contemporary accounts that indicate the number of deaths. Mm-hmm. Any of the accounts that mention deaths tend to be written way after the fact.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so most documents indicating a death total pull their information from writings that do not appear to be contemporary to the time in which the outbreaks occurred. This also applies to some other details, though. Many sources seem to have derived from articles and a book by John Waller. His writings on the subject seem to influence a lot of today's and more contemporary accounts of these events. So he was like one of the first guys to really like write stuff and investigate this, and people kind of take it at his word.
Right. You find this a lot in your paranormal research field as well.
Yeah. And there are other inconsistencies. Like one of them is that the initial dancer in 1518, the 1518 outbreak, was one Frau Trophea, which there's no guaranteed record of that. That's just the name that everybody runs with because John Waller.
Right. This sounds a lot like the legend of Miss O'Leary's cow starting the Great Chicago Fire, except that the cow started dancing.
Well, and you want to know why that started the fire?
Why?
Because those moves were lit.
Oh, God damn it.
I thought it was just always burning since the world's been turning.
Where's that gun?
Far, far away.
That's another thing for a bingo card is Kevin asking, where's that gun?
Yes.
That's not a lot.
I've been doing that a lot, I notice. Yeah.
I'm a little worried.
You might want to be. So,
Fuck. Okay. So, taking this a step further, it seems that the dancing was also influenced by one's sex.
Oh, boy.
As it is suggested that the biologically female victims were more prone to the outbreak of spontaneous dancing. This is a trend that emerges from many of these records. So it seems that, like, women, like, because, gender's a spectrum and everything like that. So the biological female sex, they tend to be more prone to this based on the historical record.
this sounds suspect to me.
Yeah, it sounds sus.
I question that. It sounds like a because they're the weaker sex kind of bullshit excuse to me.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what to make of that, but that's a common trend in a lot of the literature here.
Okay.
Especially in one of the articles that I used. They talk about that specifically, and it's a recent article, so I don't know how to take that, but I'm curious about, and I could see a reason why, and we'll get into that when we talk about some of the potential causes here.
I bet that article was written by like a real life guy that looks like Professor Utonium from the Powerpuff Girls going, yes, weaker sex, hang on, let me smoke my pipe.
So, with that being said, it seems whatever the series of dancing plagues actually were would disappear by the mid-17th century. And of the accounts we have, the most documented cases seem to be the 1374 and 1518 outbreaks in Aachen and Strasbourg, respectively. Now, what this tells me is that there seem to be events that happen to various degrees, with at least 1374 and 1518 having been recorded to a reliable degree. But what do you think about this?
Well, personally, I think that some of these details could have been exaggerated. Because it reminds me of you remember like the 1800s newspapers would like print articles to sell papers, just like I did a Batman found on the moon,
Or Spring Hill Jack,
stuff like that, yeah. And it was just to sell newspapers, and what would sell a book faster than a dancing plague? And also, there's a certain amount of like. Maybe some of the chroniclers heard it third or fourth hand. So, just realistically speaking, that's what I'm thinking. Mike, how about you?
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, there's plenty reasons for people to, lie about stuff like this.
Well, and then, we have a question from one of our listeners about... I'm sorry, were you saying something?
I was just saying, or to, just, not exactly lie, but, exaggerate. That's what I'm looking for. Exaggerate.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, one of our listeners has a question. We'll get that to that towards the end, but the idea of, like, printing up things to sell newspapers, that sort of thing. Yeah. A lot of these happen before the printing press.
Right,
and, before large-scale publication of stuff. So, like, when you wrote something down, you were either, like, a rich person who wanted to tell a story...
Or a scholar.
Or it was an important historical event. So, I want to keep that in mind regarding this kind of
Absolutely.
stuff.
You still have to sort of factor in the concept of the game of telephone.
Mm-hmm. So, that's the historical backing here. So now let's talk about some of these theories. Like, what is the cause of all of this?
Yes, let's get to the fun stuff.
So, I'm sure we probably have our theories. What do we know about Ergot?
Mike, I'm going to let you field this one.
So, I had heard about it in conjunction with the little I knew about the... dancing fever, but it's basically it's a mold that's found on rye grains that is psychoactive, right? Yeah. Basically, I think it has a similar chemical to like magic mushroom psilocybin.
So yeah, like ergot poisoning is one of those more commonly proposed theories for such cases. This is also cited often as the cause for mass hysteria involving the witch trials.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Right.
Now, is that the European or the American witch trials?
Porque no los dos, like both.
Okay.
Because rye is found in, especially as we colonized,
Right.
Or some would say stole land from the indigenous population.
Yeah,
America.
let's, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, we brought over rye and we would grow it and that sort of thing. And like it's a fungus that is traditionally closely associated with rye, so it's not unusual to see that spread here. But like I would imagine for some mass hysteria in Europe and then also in the US, we could put a lot of the blame on ergot.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and quote some symptoms of ergot poisoning from the article, The Usage of Ergot in Obstetrics and Gynecology, A Historical Perspective. Quote, in the past centuries, consumption of bread made with ergot-infected flour resulted in mass poisonings. With regard to symptoms, two forms of ergot poisoning can be distinguished, ergotismus gangrenosus and ergotismus convulsivus. So if we know our Latin, which I think Mike is our Latin expert here.
That's quite the...
that 1 year in high school.
but
You can kind of already tell what those
Yeah.
words are getting at.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm assuming one is like some form of infection.
The
Very-
gangrene,
yeah, gangrene.
gangrenosis.
Yeah, gangrene. The other one, of course, is convulsions or
Shake it.
involuntary
Right.
movement.
Not stirred.
Yeah, so convulsivus, yes. So the first stage of the poisoning is similar in both cases. Gastrointestinal and abnormal crawling sensation in the limbs, which later develops into pain. With time, the poisoning develops into one of the types mentioned above. In the case of gangrenous ergotism, ischemia affecting the limbs results in distal changes of skin color and then gangrene, which in turn causes the loss of limb or even death.
Fuck.
Right. Convulsive ergotism manifests itself in nervous system disorders. The form of poisoning causes painful, involuntary muscle twitching, while the body of the person affected by the illness takes abnormal postures. In some cases, mania and hallucinations occur simultaneously.
Okay. Well, you know, they did talk about visions.
Right. And this sounds like a great example of this, but it seems too tidy for me.
That's too logical, god damn it.
Right. So, you know, the same source also suggests the role of ergot in these dancing outbreaks, because the article isn't specifically about the dancing outbreaks, but it mentions it as part of the study of this fungus.
Right.
Because the fungus was used in gynecology and that sort of thing. It's a fair and reasonable suggestion. I just kind of find it boring. Again, it fits all the conditions. Quote, ergotism epidemics frequently occurred in communities where their diet was rich in rye and took place after cold and wet winters, followed by wet springs, as high air moisture and wind facilitate the spreading of the Claviceps purpurea fungus.
There's so many big words in this episode. I am almost lost.
Yeah, science is bullshit like that. So... Again, the idea of people tripping balls on fungus seems kind of fun until you really sit down and think about how much damage ergot poisoning has potentially done in the historical record.
And just the whole idea of like, it's like the whole MK Ultra thing where you don't know you're being dosed and motherfucker puts like all the acid in your Coke. And you're sitting there at the typewriter and then suddenly you're living the naked lunch.
Yeah, you're suddenly Philip K. Dick.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, like this all seems perfectly reasonable. I don't think it's the sole cause of a lot of this.
Sure.
But I would say it's definitely something that is an influence.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's talk about tarantism or tarantula bites.
Wait, what?
So-
Tarantula? But
Yes.
spiders.
Yeah, the big fuzzy spiders. Not the Joro spiders.
Right. You know, funny
the thick
story.
Boys, the thick boys.
Yeah, the thick boys. My nephew had a pet tarantula, and it bit him. And do you know what happened to the tarantula?
Huh.
It died. My nephew's blood poisoned a tarantula.
That's alarming.
Quite.
So, another commonly held belief was that some of these outbreaks, specifically in Italy, were the result of tarantula bites. Tarantula bites were not uncommon at the time of these outbreaks, given the level of deforestation in the region around the time of these instances in Italy.
Jesus.
Again, though, this was largely reasonable. There's a theory that the idea or the fear of bites was so strong it may have even induced the disorder among people.
All right, I'm calling bullshit on this because, all right, no shock. I'm frightened of spiders, but I've never danced myself to fucking death because I thought a brown recluse might get me. And if you say people were different then you may as well just fucking count them as a different species from modern man because, damn.
Well, you're not a 9th century religious peasant who's starving to death and afraid of a plague, so... unless you are. I don't want to, pigeonhole you into a role.
Sure, yeah, no, I mean, fair. I mean, I might be, and you don't know. You don't know what the aliens have done to me.
You don't know me.
Bitch, you don't know me.
So the Tarantism thing is specifically in Italy.
That's real specific.
But, it doesn't account for the non-Italian outbreaks.
What if it was a bunch of tarantulas that ate rye infected with ergot that bit people?
There you go.
Okay, that's it. That's what did it. End of show.
So,
we're done. No.
All right. So let's talk about the idea of mass delusion.
All right.
So another situation was the novelty of these events. Take, for example, the role of flagellants during the Black Death. Do we know what the flagellants are?
I do, actually. Mike, are you familiar with the flagellants?
Is that the guys that go around beating themselves to prove is it to prove their faith, or is it to atone for shit?
I think it's to draw attention to the fact that you should be doing this too because we're all horrid sinners.
Yeah. So these individuals were religious zealots who would whip themselves in public in a kind of fevered and ritualistic manner, sometimes bordering on compulsory, they couldn't stop themselves.
Okay.
Which it was also very interesting during the Black Plague because they're opening up raw fucking wounds on their backs.
Yeah.
In a time of plague. And it doesn't seem like in the historical record that they were any more affected by the plague than other people, but
Yeah, no. I'm just picturing these fucking nutcases whipping themselves. It's yeah, cough on my back, bitch. I don't know.
I want you to spit in my wound.
Oh.
The bubonic plague wasn't really airborne though, was it? It was mostly passed through.
I think it went through an airborne stage, actually.
Because there were multiple forms of it. It was, I think, airborne to a degree. Don't quote me on that. But I recall, because I listened to the last podcast series on the Black Plague.
Right.
And I believe, because I think there were two ways to get it.
And then there's also the fact that, someone can, with the flu, can cough into your open wound and you're not going to get the flu that way. I mean, the disease vectors has to go through a channel that it's, expecting or evolved for.
Again,
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Yeah. Again, we're getting into something that came about from me making a bad joke. So.
I know. And I'm going to pick it to death because that's what I do.
Damn it. Mike, don't act like you have meth and this is your face.
God damn it.
All right. So I'm going to quote Eyewitness to History here from a description written by Sir Robert of Avesbury.
Sir Robert of Avesbury.
Quote, in that same year of 1349, about Michaelmas, September 29th, over 600 men came to London from Flanders, mostly of Zealand and Holland origin. Sometimes at St. Paul's and sometimes at other points of the city, they made 2 daily public appearances wearing clothes from the thighs to ankles, but otherwise stripped bare. Each wore a marked cap with a red cross in front and behind. Each had in his right hand a scourge with 3 tails. Each tail had a knot, and through the middle of it there were sometimes sharp nails fixed. They marched naked in file, one behind another, and whipped themselves with these scourges on their naked and bleeding bodies. It is said that every night they performed the same penance.
So is that what a scourge is? It's a flail.
Oh, not really a flail, because a flail is like the it'd be like a more supervillain form of a cat of 9 tails.
Yeah.
Sure. But can we also talk about the fact that the only clothes they wore were basically on their calves?
So even their nards are visible. I'm assuming these are guys because women are smarter than that.
So
when they're saying thighs to the ankles, I'm sure they're probably counting like the upper thighs. So probably just in their breeches.
See, I'm just.
So, it didn't say from the waist. So
yeah, I'm just picturing like leg warmers for some reason. Just medieval leg warmers, bleeding to the oldies.
They're doing the flash dance, steppy dance as they're whipping themselves.
Yes, exactly.
And also, we push this kind of like super, what do you call it? Not conservative.
Prudism.
Prudish concept on people, pre-modern times, before the Puritanism movement, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I'm pretty sure, seeing Naked Joe in the street was like, oh, Naked Joe, put on some pants. It wasn't like, chase him out of town.
Yeah, it's like also clothes are expensive, so if you're going to have to run around with your dick out, you don't have another choice.
Yeah, so, them, even if they were like pretty much naked, beating themselves, it'd been like, oh, well, there's those crazy naked dudes beating themselves again.
Yeah, here comes One Nut Larry. Everybody get out of the road.
And nowadays, a naked dude beating himself has a completely different meaning.
Yeah, I've seen that back when we lived in South Jackson.
Nothing quite like jacking it in San Diego.
Yeah. Oh.
So, I mentioned this because this is another kind of weird, compulsory group activity. At least they're having fun with friends. But I feel like it's one of those things that, like, if we're talking about the idea of mass delusion, there's some parallels here.
Sure.
But on that note of mass delusion, let's talk about demonic possession or Christ mania.
Okay.
So, if we find ourselves in the camp that the origins of these outbreaks were of a divine nature, then there are 2 principal things to discuss. One is the theory of demonic possession, while the other might be some form of thing I'm just going to call Christ mania. So, a lot of religious fervor and thinking played out in strange ways in the pre-Enlightenment times. So, specifically, according to the Dancing Plague, a public health conundrum, one contemporary belief for the cause of these outbreaks was invalid baptisms by corrupt clergy leading to a demonic possession.
Oh, that, okay. So, this is kind of like that guy that did all those baptisms wrong, and now the Catholic Church is saying that none of those people are going to heaven?
When was this?
Like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, so
Holy
it was
crap.
so he said like the wrong line. He put like and or something in the middle of the line. I can't remember what the exact phrasing or what the phrase was, but
So they fucking grammar Nazi'd him instead of just like Nazi helped?
Pretty much.
They grammar Nazi'd him and decided
for
that
the last like 30 years he's been saying it this way, and apparently that was wrong, and because he said it wrong,
all these people were fucked.
Oh my god.
So, yeah. But, again, this is reminding me of 2 things. Number 1, Holy Ghosting, which I mentioned earlier, which, like I said, we used to call that holy rolling, where it's also kind of like the same thing as like snake handling, It's religious mania. And it reminds me of Holy Land Syndrome. Are you familiar with that mental affliction?
No.
It's where tourists from the West will go to the Holy Land, like Israel, all these places where Jesus was and the Bible happened, and they'll lose their goddamn minds and not go home. And will just start thinking that they're living in a biblical times. There's one guy, he was a professor at a college here in the U.S. He goes on a tour of the Holy Land, and he just never left. He started thinking he was King Solomon. He ran, King David. He ran around with a lyre, playing it and singing in Aramaic at people.
Reminds me of that joke in Ghostbusters. Is there a history of mental illness in your family? Well, my brother thought he was Saint Jerome.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing. I really feel like, and I'm not to insult people out there that listen to this are religious. I'm just saying that, like, religious mania is like a thing, you know?
Oh, yeah, it might cause you to believe that there's a secret pizza place that sells child slaves in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As
that
opposed to
doesn't
the
sound
good,
like something that people actually believe.
No, yeah, it's nothing like good healthy beliefs like in Bigfoot and UFOs and things like that.
I'm just going to say something that's going to drive a religious listener wild.
What's
Moloch.
that? What?
Moloch.
Moloch?
Yeah, the god that supposedly they sacrifice children to.
Yeah, they've got the statue of him at Bohemian Grove.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the big owl.
Like we're going to trigger someone with that. Just Moloch.
Moloch.
Mollusks?
Moloch.
So I looked up the thing about the Catholic priest. It was in Arizona.
Oh,
it was.
Well, no wonder.
It was the Catholic Diocese of Phoenix announced that Reverend Anders Arango has been using the wrong wording in his baptisms up until June of last year. And it's because of a single word. But in his both English and Spanish sermons, or not sermons, but baptisms, he used the phrase, "We baptize you in the name of the Father and the Son and of the Holy Spirit," when he should have said, "I baptize you." So he used "we" instead of "I."
Whatever was the royal we.
Yeah.
He got dinged for being more inclusive.
Yes.
Wow.
Kind of.
Wow.
See, this is what comes of not observing daylight savings time.
But so and by his estimation, he's been using that phrasing since 1995.
Fucking hell.
Jesus Christ.
So
Jesus Christ, they're not going to meet him. They're not going to meet Jesus Christ. They're going straight to hell because of this guy.
How many people have died?
Oh my God.
How many people have died since then?
it's like,
Jeez.
it's like what, how many years? It's 16 years? 26 years?
A long time, man. It's been
26 years.
Oh my God. So,
Way to go.
Yeah. Better go to Vegas to one of those quickie baptismal places and get that taken care of.
Drive-through baptism with squirt guns.
Yeah, no squirt guns. They throw a cup of Dasani in your face.
I'm sure
Get the Holy Spirit all in your face.
Yeah,
I'm sure the Archdiocese of Phoenix have like rented out a local YMCA pool to do mass baptisms at like $50 a pop.
Okay, we have to practice. Let's make sure we are synchronized.
All right, everybody. Before you get in the pool, make sure you got your floaties.
Yeah, they flew in extra help from the Vatican.
They brought in Archbishop Zipnak.
No, the one from SNL.
Oh, Father Guido Sarduce.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, man. I'd love to be baptized by him. He never even puts a cigarette out.
So, I do have one more theory for you, gentlemen. All right.
Okay.
So, my theory is that this is an early form of a meme.
All right, I'm down with this.
Okay, so one thing to note about these instances of these outbreaks is that they happen during times of great hardship in Europe. Between regional instability, plagues, and famines, we would get these spontaneous outbreaks of dancing madness. Now, one theory that I want to consider is that this may have been an early example of a cultural meme before we had a sense of what a meme was, because we've seen memes expressed for thousands of years, but it wasn't until the 1970s that the terminology was coined by Richard Dawkins. The larger idea of the meme is that, of our shitposter example of this, is that it's a shared piece of culture that is replicated continually and perpetuates and mutates, much like a gene.
See, this makes a lot of sense to me, because if you think of a meme as sort of a mental virus that gets in the collective unconscious and spreads through the species,
yeah,
that works on some level for me.
Right, and that doesn't preclude these other factors being involved.
Oh yeah.
But now at this point, because it's happened so many times over the course of like 6 or 7 centuries, it kind of it becomes something that we know about and that we kind of embrace if it happens. So, as much as I'm not exactly the physical type, there are times when I'm under a great deal of stress, I'll go for walks or do something physical to unload that stress. For example, like when I have like writer's block, for example, I'll get up and I'll move around and everything like that. Humans are wired to express a kind of get up and move meme for dealing with their stress. And in the case of these outbreaks, it could have been like a herky-jerky dance that just kind of spread like a meme among all these people who are dealing with incredibly severe, difficult lives.
Definitely.
So you're saying is they saw one person doing it and they're like, hey, I want to do that.
It was the medieval equivalent of a retweet.
I want to get on that.
Mm-hmm. Hashtag herky jerk.
I think that's basically my big thing here. But, so for example, in the article, The Dancing Plague, a Public Health Conundrum, quote, establishing a clear cause for the dancing plague remains elusive. A dietary, toxic, or infectious component are all possibilities. However, it seems to have been a psychological disorder which occurred when there was a predisposing cultural background and to have been triggered by adverse social circumstances, a sign of times which have long passed.
It makes sense to me because, again, I think humanity is far more connected than we realize. Mm-hmm. And it goes a long way toward explaining mob mentality. And, one becomes part of the many, and the many is like a linked hive. So if one particularly powerful idea infects someone in the mob, it spreads. But again, that's me.
January 6th.
January 6th. That's a very good point.
And another example, like we talk about how apparently these kind of dancing madnesses kind of subside in the mid-17th century. What else was going on in the mid-17th century but the Enlightenment?
Mm-hmm.
Like also, obviously, quality of life didn't improve for everybody, but it did improve significantly because we realized, maybe we shouldn't dump our shit into the river we drink from.
Right. And also, let's not necessarily like everyone's lives got better, but a lot of stressors were relieved.
Yeah, especially
the lessening
when you start
of the plague.
People.
When you cut your leader's head off, but like,
cathartic.
The plague's over. There's suddenly a lot more money around. Things are looking up. In general, on a societal level, like, I may be dirt poor, but like, if the economy's better, I'm still gonna feel better in general about the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I also have to wonder, like, was it like a certain time of year this would happen? Because
that's a good question, because in one of the quotes that I had read, they had mentioned, with Ergot occurring after like particularly wet spring. So I'm assuming that this would happen in the summer period. Because some of the other cases were in like August or September. That's the time when you're eating the harvested
and had
rye.
the time, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, and for an agrarian society, that's kind of downtime because, you've harvested everything, you've put it up for the winter.
The plants are dead.
But it's still not like, I'm assuming in more cold, in northern climates, it's not butt-ass cold winter snow hellpocalypse. Mm-hmm. So, see someone dance and you're like, hell yeah, I want to dance. Because, there's a lot of festivals in that time of year anyway.
Well, and here's the thing. When it's in the middle of the winter, I want to dance with somebody. I want to feel the heat from somebody.
God damn it. Fuck you. Fuck both of you.
See, my original conjecture was maybe it was like spring fever, but no, that other way makes sense too. That it's,
Yeah. So what I think is that like all these theories,
madness.
I feel like all of these theories have validity to them, and I think they all kind of feed into each other.
Yeah, I think I think what we have here in essence is a perfect stew for this kind of thing to happen. with all these things.
Yeah.
And it's like a giant clusterfuck of a synchronicity that it all happened in a certain amount of, time.
Yeah.
So,
and that's what I have for this. I wanted to make sure that we didn't go too into the weeds here, but I think we have a pretty good picture of this. And then the scale of it is what I find to be most surprising.
yeah, I mean, it's Western Europe.
Yeah, because I went in thinking, okay, there's probably a handful of them, but, the number of cases I saw got into, the 30s.
That's really interesting, because like you said, I was thinking maybe 5, 6 over, a few hundred years. I wasn't expecting all this.
Yeah.
But, that was fantastic, David. Thank you.
Not a problem. That was fun.
Yeah. No, we had a lot of fun. We had some jokes. Now I believe we got some questions.
Oh, we're wrapping that part up?
Yeah. Did you have something else?
Because I wrote down several notes. You didn't ask me what,
I'm
my
sorry,
overall thought
Mike.
was.
Let's go with you. What are
You
your
said they were
overall
going to do
thoughts?
that at the end.
I am so sorry. Let's.
Yeah.
I gave my overall thoughts.
Let
Mike.
the baby have a spotlight.
Holy shit! No way, dude. Holy fuck! Mike's gonna shoot you.
I'm just kidding, Mike. I love you.
I'm not going to shoot anybody.
He's gonna stab you.
He's gonna wish me on an island with nothing but mayo.
Well, here's the thing. Do you like mayo?
I mean, it makes a sandwich less dry.
Well, then, no. I'll think of something else.
Dancing plague it is, then.
Yes, dancing plague it is. So we already covered some of the ones. You brought up some of the ones, but, so boredom, obviously. They're just friggin' bored all the time.
Bored and dancing.
Yeah, like we said, you see someone dancing, you're like, fuck yeah, I want part of that. Could have been, a form of exercise. It's like medieval jazzercise.
Technically, yes.
Yeah.
But jazzercise till you die?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, some people took that shit too far.
Sounds like an 80s horror film.
Actually, look at what was that guy's name? Jimmy Fix, the famous jogger, the guy that advocated jogging as a healthy lifestyle. You know when he died? He had a heart attack while jogging.
Yeah, well, do what you love, die how you do it.
But did he jog himself to death, or was it just...
Yeah, all the jogging aggravated an unknown heart condition.
Oh, okay. Oh, because I don't know if that's him jogging himself to death, or it just coincidentally he died while jogging. You know what I mean?
I think it aggravated it. It was a heart condition.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. I read about this shit.
Okay. I saw Forrest Gump.
Okay. What else you got, Mo? Man, fuck you. Fucking Forrest Gump. I just felt like running.
And, let's see, quasi-religious fervor, they're just get way into it because, everybody's doing it. So
again, Holy Ghosting.
Yeah. Why wouldn't I get into this?
Hey, yeah, and there's also the peer pressure of, how come you're not absorbed by the Holy Spirit?
That was the next one. Peer pressure and bandwagoning.
Good points.
You're
bullied
not,
into dancing.
Everybody else is dancing. Why ain't you dancing?
Well, so it suddenly becomes beat it.
Yeah. Have you got another one, Mike?
So let's see here. You had mentioned the probably erroneous idea that it was mostly women, but that led me to think about, what if it's sexual repression? It's like what's that movie?
Dirty Dancing.
How Stella got her group back?
No, the
Lambada? The Forbidden Dance?
No, the one with the pirate radio station.
Pirate radio?
No, or was it a pirate radio? No, some
Airheads? Jeez.
Killing me here.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Oh God, I can't remember the name of that one now. Footloose.
Okay. Wait. Pump up the volume?
Pump up the volume.
Pump up the volume.
But wasn't Footloose
Footloose where the town band dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I know is that they needed a hero.
Yeah.
Holding out for one till the end of the night.
Dancing can be a very sensual thing, so maybe it was,
Holy shit,
yeah,
I just
I dance
saw
for
her
Holly all the
ankle.
time.
Ooh.
She's just watching TV, and I'm just up there, like, just in front, just kind of gyrating, and then she throws some money at me, and
Are you sure it's money, or is it coins? I think she's just trying to get you out of the way.
Just chucking pennies at your head.
it's just bread.
Toast. She's chucking toast
She
at
thinks
you.
you're a duck.
The bad thing is, I'm picturing you dancing, and all I'm hearing is, I'm a sweet transvestite.
Which is funny because, yeah, she and I like to go to Rocky Horror.
Of course.
At theaters and everything like that. So
Yeah, I just picture you dancing to Sweet Transvestite, Tim Curry playing. That'd be great. So,
Ants in the pants.
wait, what?
Ants in the pants.
Ants in the pants.
Sir, you have terminal ants in your pants.
Which actually, which I would just wrote that down as shorthand for, say, fleas or lice, but you kind of covered that with tarantulas too.
Yeah.
Not just, any kind of,
Going from town to town giving each other fleas.
and then because you got
It
so much
was the
fleas,
Black Plague, though.
you're kind of like, squirming around. And
Damn, Mike, you might have a point on that one.
So are you luckier if you get the fleas that make you dance or the fleas that give you the buboes?
You know what? I'm taking the dance.
Yeah, the dance has a probably higher survival rate.
Yeah. And
Not when I'm dancing.
now I got a couple of theories when you're done, Mike.
Okay. Well, my last one, which we've got to, is just people be weird. I mean,
People be weird. That's it, huh?
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
people are people, so why should it be?
Sure. Okay. So my two additional theories are, number one, space plague.
Okay, you're treading on my neck. My last thing I wanted to do before we did the wrap up, which was propose if it was something not normal. What is your wildest theory about it? You just said space plague.
Okay, that's one of them. The other one, of course, is overlap of the superstructure, like a massive high strangeness event.
Kevin, your superstructure thing is going to give me brain cancer.
God damn it, Mike. But the point is, seriously, I think space plague could be an interesting thing. Like, just out of the blue, meteorite falls, causes the little ice age, and everybody gets dancing space plague.
It doesn't mutate any of us. It just makes us dance.
Yeah, no, that's it, man. That's all it does. Just literally the dance bug from Mars. And my other thing, like I said, the superstructure has a massive fold-over event from maybe some tectonic activity, and it affects people's minds, and we just have like a mass 200-year period of open windows into high strangeness. Or however many hundreds of years.
There you go.
So that's mine.
Kevin.
Yeah?
The term high strangeness implies the existence of a low strangeness.
That's every day.
No, my days are not strange.
Okay, that's true. That dude with the yellow skin that comes in, that's pretty weird.
That's just jaundice.
It is jaundice. It's sad. So, David, do you have any theories you want to throw out there real quick?
My theory is that most animated Disney films set in medieval times are actually actually happened. So everybody breaks out into song and dance when the protagonist
So if you take
comes through the village.
if you take a Disney film and just blank out the musical numbers but still have the dancing, that's what was happening.
And replace all the smiles with looks of horror?
No,
Yeah.
they could have been enjoying themselves. We don't know.
When you said we're really happening, I was like, please do not start talking again. Don't start talking about, God, what's his name that wrote those books?
I don't know.
Oh, God, why am I blanking on his name? Wrote Do Androids Dream of Electric
Philip
Sheep?
K. Dick.
Yeah, Philip K. Dick, yeah. I was afraid you were like, everything I write is actually happening. He believed that. Did you know that, Mike?
No.
Yeah, no, he believed everything that he wrote was actually happening at that point in another dimension to him.
Which is why he's one of the best authors ever.
All this because light reflected off of a fish necklace and turned into a beam and shot his head full of psychic info.
God, I love Philip K. Dick.
You really got to read about him, Mike. It's insane.
Yeah.
Haunted by his twin sister who died in the womb.
Jesus Christ.
Crazy, crazy story. Amazing, amazing stuff.
Yeah. So, questions. We got questions. Shall I read us some questions?
My batshit.
Oh, yes, please.
You'll probably love this and think it's brilliant.
Oh, well,
I think it's silly as hell. Extra dimensional being is basically doing the puppet master thing and playing with people.
That's kind of what I was saying.
It's probably the Fae.
Yeah, the Fae. It was elves. It's the wee folk.
No, it's an extra dimensional puppet master. So it's just some, their version of like a old man with glasses, going, hey, dance,
Fuckers, dance. Basically, he turned everybody into finger puppets. Okay, I can see that. See, Mike, you were right.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. So we got a question from Kick-Assatron. Mm-hmm. And he says, has dancing mania ever coincided with elevated internal temperatures, specifically over 37.7 C Celsius? Also, did dancing mania happen because people went crazy over the invention of the printing press?
So I do want to tackle this one because I looked into it a little bit.
Ooh.
So there was a spike in temperature during the medieval warm period, which spanned from about 950 to 1250, but then it was followed up by the Little Ice Age. So I'm not sure if there's much correlation here between like an ice age and a global heating trend and what's going on. It's more specifically like was the spring particularly wet to increase the growth of this fungus.
See, even that, the Little Ice Age and would have still been like a bizarre apocalyptic event or a punishment from God adding to the stressors of the day. So there's a definite possibility of a connection there.
Right. And then as far as the printing press, that was invented by Gutenberg in 1426. Which might have had an effect of spreading the news, but publishing was still pretty expensive and rare for contemporary accounts.
He invented the movable type printing press. There were printing presses before
Using
that.
wooden block print.
Yeah. So it was, he just made it a lot cheaper and easier.
Right.
Yeah. Now,
but
also,
it's not like there's like a newspaper that goes around fairly reliably.
Well, you had, town criers and stuff.
Yeah.
Get your new copy of the Runny Blister. But like he also said crazy over the invention. Like, what if this is just people really fucking happy that there's printing now and they're just dancing in the streets?
You mean the Bible isn't just in Latin anymore?
Woo! Yeah, everybody's just dancing from that.
You mean I don't have to pay a tithe to the priest to get the holy word of God?
Hey, don't you go saying that. You keep giving me the money.
Give me the money, or I break your legs.
Oh, God.
Catholic Church, the first mafia.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm going to get fucking shot, aren't I?
Oh, we're dead. We're already dead, man. We're on so many fucking hit lists. So, my own dearest Dusty Pages asks, have they ever figured out what beat to dance to works best for this specific mania? Like, what's the best song? And in my opinion, I have a really bad feeling it's the fucking Harlem Shake.
I am going to say Mirror in the Bathroom by the English Beat.
Ooh.
Safety
That seems
dance.
like a good one to dance to.
Ooh, Mike, you think it's Safety Dance?
Yes.
Ooh, that'd be neat.
But it's the opposite of a safe dance.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like Fry said, that dance really wasn't that safe. But yeah, no, I have a feeling it's...
Futurama references to the bingo card.
We really do. But I have a feeling it would have been the Harlem Shake. That's just me.
I don't think you can actually dance to the Harlem Shake.
You basically just violently convulse.
I'm pretty sure they were, come on, they probably dancing. That's not really dancing. That's just,
it was probably
shaking.
fucking green sleeves.
It was it was probably Cotton Eye Joe.
Where do you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? Yeah, I could see that. Oh my God. What if it's just like somehow like when time travel's invented, Cotton Eye Joe's playing on somebody's computer and it just goes throughout history and it's stuck in humanity's head until they finally record it.
Anytime there's a jug ban, or every time there's a jug somewhere that you could blow into, you run the risk of hearing Cotton Eye Joe.
Where is that gun? Fuck. So
in your heart.
Oh, the gun's inside all of us. So,
now it's become a David Cronenberg film.
Existence. Yeah.
Tooth gun.
The tooth gun.
I was thinking Videodrome, but okay, you do you.
Have you ever seen Existence?
Yes.
Yeah, where there's the meat gun that shoots teeth. This is the dumbest fucking thing. So, last question from Darth Plato. Dancing Mania was in Strasbourg, right? Or was it more widespread? And,
which we did cover in the episode.
We did. It was widespread, but Strasbourg was its own thing.
Mm-hmm. But he did have a follow-up question to that one.
Right. His follow-up question, I'd want to know how the press reported on it, if there was a press at the time, and how widespread the news got, and if other places randomly started doing it when they heard about it.
Well, yeah, we also kind of covered that. There was no press.
There was no press. Maybe it was basically somebody runs into town screaming, "Run! The dancers are coming!"
Now, see, I'm picturing this peasant child running into a town breathlessly. The rhythm's gonna get you. The rhythm's gonna get you
tonight.
Oh my God! This has been the most pun-filled episode we've ever done.
I need someone to do a horror movie based on
the dancing play.
Yes.
You know, if we just have a guy, get run into like a wizard and piss him off, and he curses this guy's entire town to dance to death. I mean, there's your movie right there, dude.
You know what? I kind of feel like one of us on our deathbed has to give that curse.
It'd be like Thinner, but with more cardio.
Dancing. Yeah, no, just a gypsy rubbing her hand on your face going, dance for me.
We do not use the word gypsy anymore.
Oh, you're right. Wait, well, what are they called now? Romani?
Romani.
Okay,
yeah.
A Romani woman rubs her hand across your face and goes, dance for me.
Yes, I will be the woke one.
Okay, thank you.
Keep us in check.
But
somebody's got to.
Jordan Peele doing a dancing.
Oh, dude, Jordan Peele would do an amazing movie.
Yeah.
I have not seen any of his movies yet. I need to.
Oh, he produced Candyman, and that was amazing. The new one.
Yeah, you have to understand. I'm not much of a horror person. Not that it scares me.
I knew there was something about you that bothered me.
Right.
So my problem with a lot of horror is kind of the hopelessness of it. It's like
and Candyman is definitely a hopeless kind of a fucking movie. I still want to see Nope real bad.
Yeah, I'm so excited for Nope.
That looks right up my fucking alley. It kind of it looks kind of like he's doing a modern day African American version of Skinwalker Ranch.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm down.
We'll have to do a like movie episode where we just kind of like talk about like movies that deal with these topics. And,
because we got to talk about Fire in the Sky.
Fuck, dude.
That fucking abduction scene
still bothers me, dude. Bothers me.
Completely inaccurate to what actually happened, but fuck, is it terrifying. Yeah. Okay, well, that's about it for this week. Again, thanks everyone for listening, and keep spreading the word. We will have an ad at the beginning of each episode as long as we have people wanting to advertise.
If you are interested in advertising, make sure you hit up the Supernatural Selection Twitter account at SupernatPod.
Indeed. And if you would like to support the show, we do in fact have a what have we got? Fuck, Patreon. My brains. We have a Patreon. Thank you. So we have a Patreon, and you can find it at patreon.com/supernatural selection. And you can find links to all the important stuff, including our Discord, our Patreon, and everything else at supernatpod.rocks. So we'll be back. Well, some of us will be back next week for an
Yes.
episode.
Some of us will be off doing fun things, the bastard.
Yeah. Literally, the bastard will be off at the Bullet Distillery for a bourbon picking trip, and we're also going to Heaven Hill. And I promise, Mike...
Wait a minute. You'll be back before we record another episode?
Yeah, but I'll be exhausted.
True, I guess.
Well, I'll be talking about the Easter Bunny on that one, so it'll be like story time for children.
Okay. Well, if I can make it, I'll make it. If I can't, you can still read, like, Bigfoot erotica to Mike.
Actually, I have the episode all planned out, so it's not going to be Bigfoot erotica.
Oh, man.
I think I want you here for that. I think I want you here. For
You
that.
want me here for the... Oh, thank you so much, David.
I want to see if I awaken something.
I was going to say, well, you want him here for his erection?
Yeah. Wow, these stories are messed up. David, grab my stick shift.
Where's the source on this? I need it for research purposes.
I need to find out who to be pissed off at. Yeah, that's the ticket. All right. All right, well, that's it for this week. We'll see you next time. Again, head to supernatpod.rocks for links to our everything, and we will see you next week. So until then, stay safe and stay frosty. Goodbye.
Wait, did y'all leave already? Shit, I'll be right there.
I'm dancing.
Be sure to put on your dancing shoes.
Keep dancing. That's a great way to go out.
Oh man, I realized I didn't reference Jamiroquai even once.